Okay, this is our wrap-up video for our Waterloo to Pinckney trail hike that we did in, May 13, 14, 15. We did a 3-day, 2-night. It ended up being 39.7 miles.
Not the 33 that we thought in our heads.
Well, my All Trails map said 33.8. And then when you walk into the trailhead at Waterloo,
it says 36.
It says 36, but for some reason we forgot that as we were hiking.
And then, if you Wikipedia and you look up like the location and all that stuff on the Wikipedia, it tells you it's going to be 38.5 miles if you camp at the Rustic Campground and at the Green Lake. So,
and that 39.7 that we ended up with
was because we...
And that didn't count going for water.
No.
Because when you get to Pines Campground the first day, you got to walk.
Okay, so we'll get into that story
we'll
right
into
now.
That later.
Right now or no?
Speaking of water, I didn't bring enough water. And everybody told me I wasn't going to bring enough water, but I had to learn this myself. When we went on 10-mile day hikes, I would use 1 liter of water.
But that was in the early spring.
It was like
so it was
58
only 50 degrees out.
And I had a pack that was...
half the weight.
Half the weight. My pack ended up being 35 on this, 35 pounds, and I was probably like under 20 on that.
Yeah.
So I figured I would double it. I would bring 2 liters of water. And he's like, yeah, you ain't bringing enough. So he brought 4 liters. I brought 2 liters.
So I had 2 in my Camelback. The Camelback is really good. I like it because the pack that I have is the Osprey Rook. It's nice.
I have the same one.
Yeah, we have
60 liter.
Yeah, it's a 60 liter plus 5. So it's a 65 liter pack. So it's nice where they got them nice holders for your liter waters, but you can't really get them in. You can get it out, but you can't get it back in.
And if you watch the video, you'll see I bought a holster for mine. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll probably go ahead and get that too. So the Camelback is really nice. I like it because you drink. I can sip all day long without it.
However,
you don't know how much water you're flipping out.
I said, how much water you got left? I don't know. So I like
yours. Yeah.
Yeah, this time. Yeah. Yeah. So
anyways, it was 900 degrees when we did the.
Felt like it was 900 degrees, but it ended up being 85 and sunny.
So the day we decided to do this wrap up, guess what it is? 97 degrees out.
It feels just like it was on the hike. Yeah. So I ended up running out of water, and I was he was sharing his water with me. And I didn't want to take it. And then we stopped for a rest. And I'm just going, He goes, what's wrong? I go, I'm dying of thirst. He's like, drink some of my water.
Yeah, so I had almost an extra liter left. So I ended up doing so that's one of the biggest things that on my notes was that I wrote down.
Okay, yeah, so it was hillier than we thought.
Yeah.
I knew the elevation gain and all that, but it was still hillier than I thought. It was hotter, and I was carrying a 35-pound pack, and he was carrying a 45-pound. So I ran out of water. We didn't die, so
no, it was fine.
I learned a lot on that.
Well, yeah. So we have another water issue at the end too. So what I'm really learned on this whole trip was when you're low on water and you go past these water sources, just stop and take a minute and
filter a liter.
Yeah.
The first day we went Big Portage Lake to
the Rustic Campground.
The Rustic Pines Campground, which ended up being 11.7 miles.
So we passed a lot of water sources at the time. So
at 3.5 miles, there was a water source.
Yeah, but we didn't need it.
We didn't need it, but you could have went in with less, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, you can go in with less.
3.5 miles in, there's a good water source. You can look at the video and see a nice little creek there. So that was at 3.5, and there was another water source about 9 miles. That was the Baldwin flooding.
That
was a really good one. We probably should have got at least a liter there.
We should have filled up there
because we had about another mile or 2 till we got to Pines Campground.
Yeah.
So when you get there, I have heard that there's no water there, and then I heard there is water. There's a creek or there's a horse stable. So we didn't really know.
We didn't know where it was at, so we followed the signs to the creek.
Yeah, so there's a sign that said creek.
Yeah.
So we took that, and we walked, and we walked, and we walked.
And you think you're not going to get there, and you're like, oh, crap.
And we're super thirsty.
Yeah, so we're out of water.
So we finally got to this creek, and...
Okay, so you're sure at this point you start sharing the trails with the horses, right?
Yeah, I got on here. I got on my notes at about mile 7.
Yeah. So anyway,
So
so this is a horse. So you get to the creek. It's a horse crossing. Across the creek, there's like a thing where you can get off your horse, tie your horse off, go to the bathroom.
like a little stable.
Yeah, a little resting point.
Yeah.
But guess what? What horses do?
Yeah, they crapped in the water.
They crap right in the water.
So we went upstream as much as we could.
So I was about to take my boots off, and Jay was like, "Oh, it's fine. It's 10 feet away, man. These water filters are gonna take care of that, man.
We're gonna put these Sawyer Squeeze water filters to the test."
And I was like, "Well, you don't know if there's something just pooped up the way."
So anyway, we went in there, and I scooped up a liter of water, and I'm like, "Okay." We filtered it, and I drank it, the whole liter, all the way down. I said,
it was
okay.
8. He goes, "Okay, I did it at 8:00. If something happens to me, we know it did it."
We know it did it. So anyway, yeah.
So the water the Sawyer filters squeezes, they worked really good.
Yeah, but it was so far upstream.
It's like 10 feet.
It was more than like.
The creek was.
It was
moving.
more like 11 feet.
I know, it wasn't that far.
I was so thirsty. I was willing to take the chance. All the videos I watched.
So it worked out. It worked. When it gets this hot out, I don't eat very much. Yeah, I know. So I don't eat that much. So I wasn't really hungry. So all I had was an apple and an orange, and then I went to bed. So I cramped a lot that night. I had a cramping problem.
I did not, but one thing, another rookie mistake. I didn't bring mosquito spray. We both forgot mosquito spray, and it was loaded at that camp.
And my wife was like, "Don't forget the mosquito spray," and I was like, "Oh," and I still did.
I didn't bring a headlamp because I didn't think we'd be hiking at night. Why would you need a headlamp?
So I was putting my headlamp in my pack when he came over. He was like, "I don't know why you're bringing a headlamp. We ain't gonna need it."
Yeah, we're not. Well,
you watch the video.
For all you rookies out there, when you're in your tent at night getting ready, it's sure helpful to have that on there instead of my flashlight in my mouth.
Yeah,
trying to do
because you're always charging your phones then. I wasn't ready for the heat. The heat was it was hot, and I didn't wear my summer hat. I had my.
He had long pants on too for the ticks, and I had shorts on. And
yeah, but my pants are really thin.
Right.
So
I ended up through the whole thing. From what I'm hearing about ticks this year, I had 3 ticks.
That he saw that was on
the only exposed part of my leg. There,
yeah.
I flicked 3 ticks off. So
and I didn't see any ticks, but I had black or gray pants on. So
one other mistake that I made that I won't again. I didn't think my hiking shoes. I have trail runners, Asics trail runners. They're so comfortable that I said when we get to camp, I'm not going to need Crocs or slaps or whatever because, which was good the first night, but then we get into the second day and we got caught in the rain for about an hour. So now here I am with wet shoes. So I did need Crocs or slaps or whatever.
Yeah. I always want to get out. I'd like to get out of my boots, and I wore my winter boots. Well, my fall hiking boots. They're waterproof and everything, but it got that day didn't rain. So
no, the first day didn't rain. It was just hot.
So it wasn't too bad. But
then we woke up for the next morning.
Yeah, so we get
Ryan's campground. We were at site number 1, which I had read that it's the flattest. So it was flat. It was good. It was perfect. It was fine.
We met a few people there.
One thing for getting water there that I never saw in a video. You go to the creek. You come out of the camp and you take a left and you follow the signs to the creek. That's about a half mile, which is too far. Or there's a horse stable there with everyone said it was a pump. But it's not. It looks like a pump, but when you turn it on, it's like a regular spigot.
It's a frost freeze pump.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, with the ones that stick up above the ground.
For anybody doing this, there's water there. You come out of the camp, and you just walk. Right when you come out, you walk straight. Go straight.
And you'll get on a 2-track.
You'll get on a 2-track, and you can't miss
it. Keep walking straight.
Just before the stable, there it is, and it was. We filtered it, and it was fine. So that was.
So
there's 2 water sources there, but you got to walk a little bit. That was about a quarter mile from camp.
Yeah, it was bad. It wasn't bad, because it was funny because we ran into a guy there, him and his dog. He was solo camping, and I was like, "Man, which way did you go to the creek? We didn't see you." He goes, "I didn't go to the creek. I went to the well pump." And I was like, "What? Where's that at?"
Yeah, so that helped out.
So the next day, Jay was like, "We got to go down to the creek and
because I didn't get any video
we didn't
footage
get of the filter in the water out of the creek. I said, man, I was like, you can go down there and film it if you want, but I'm not getting I'm going up to the flipping well and getting it out of the more fresh water than the horse poop creek.
Right. So anyway, we started day 2 from Pines Campground to Green Lake Campground. So that was ended up being 13 miles. So this time we filtered 6 liters of water, 3 each. But we were good on water that day, even though it was about 80. It wasn't as hot as the first day.
It was hot,
but it was hilly.
It was a lot hillier.
It was hilly that second day. Okay, but I did write on my notes the part that we share the trail with horses was about from mile 7 to mile 14, and it was pretty, tore up from the horses and sandy, and it was tough to walk on for 7, 8 miles.
Yeah, and I never enjoyed walking in the sand anyway.
He used to tell me that all the time.
And you'd be like, "What?"
When we do day hikes, I hate sand. I hate sand. I'm like, it feels good on your feet.
It's good on your feet.
Until you do it for 5, 8
and
miles.
then you start throwing some weight on your back, and then you're going through it, and you're like, because it's anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, and that ended up being a pretty good climb. I think day 2 was the
switchbacks, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was we called it Switchback Hill because we don't know what it was, but it was the highest elevation of the whole trail, which ended up being like 1,142 feet or whatever. But it wasn't bad. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's right around mile 12, just past mile 12.
Yeah, just after you leave the rustic campground.
Yeah, because the rustic campground
within
right
a
around
mile
10ish.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we ended up hearing thunder, and I looked on the radar, and it was coming, and we were hoping we didn't get wet, but you know what? We ended up getting wet. It cooled us down.
Yeah. So for the longest time, we were hiking, and we were right in the sweet spot where the cold front came through, and all the storms were all around us. And
if you look at the radar, you can see one was coming right at us.
Yeah, but it was for the longest time. It was going on
up north and south of us.
Yeah, just boom, boom.
And it cooled down pretty good.
Yeah, it was really nice after that.
Yeah, there's a pretty funny part in the video where I say, "Mike, we going to get rained on?" You said, "Nope." Very next scene, pouring down rain, but it cooled us down. We were okay with it.
No, it was nice. I needed that. We got soaked, right? But we didn't pull our rain gear out because we didn't need it.
Everything I had was either in dry bags in my pack.
Yeah.
Or in plastic bags, all my electronics, my drone, my packs.
Yeah, so we didn't even pull our rain.
The GoPro, it's all waterproof.
Pretty much.
Except for the drone, but that was in a bag inside of my pack.
Yeah, so I had everything in a Ziploc bag or a bag of some sort. So we didn't even pull the rain because the packs that we have.
We knew it.
Have a rain fly that you just pull out and you can go over the top of it.
Yeah, and we knew that it wasn't going to rain all day. So if it was an all-day rain, we would have probably ended up having to do something.
Maybe, I don't know. Everything
wasn't. We didn't get cold.
Everything is water. So. Yeah, so I'm just saying, we brought our rain gear, but we didn't use it.
And then we got to the pavilion at the Discovery Center, which was approximately around mile 18 on the trail markers, and it was a nice place to stop.
Right.
Take our packs off, eat lunch, dry everything, whatever we could dry. And by the time we got out of there, it had stopped raining.
So at that point, when I was feeling my heels. And I should have put my moleskin on right then and changed out those wet socks and put dry socks on. And I didn't. And that was a mistake on my part.
Right. So once we left there was a real good water source right after mile 18.
Oh, and at the Discovery Center, if you go there, it was open when we were there.
It was open till 5.
Yeah, they were open till 5, so we were able to go. I was able to go. I went in and used the bathroom and washed my hands.
So if you had to, you could have got water there.
Yeah.
You could have got water out of the sink.
You could have got out of the sink.
I don't know if there was another spigot or something. We didn't do too much.
We
had enough water.
Yeah, I didn't talk to the guy that much.
Right when you leave there, about a quarter mile, there's a nice creek.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of
we show all that in the video.
Yeah, it's in the video.
That was at about 18 and a quarter is what I got. Then pretty much we're ready to get there. Pines Campground is a hike in only.
Yeah, the rustic one, yeah.
The Green Lake one is rustic, but there's you can drive into that one. So we walked in and found our site, and We had site GL15.
Yeah.
In case that matters.
If you look at that, so you have a real flat spot that's outside of your campground, but it floods, so we couldn't go there. So we ended up on a hill.
And the incline wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
And we just said I didn't notice it sleeping or anything. So
Yeah, I ended up at, I had to move up a couple times when I was sleeping.
And that wasn't a bad sight.
It wasn't too bad. I snored apparently because our neighbors were like, we couldn't figure out who was coming
I
from.
wore earplugs because I knew he snored so bad, and he's in the next 10 over. I wore earplugs, and he woke me up with my earplugs on. However, when he woke himself up snoring, he could hear me snoring, so I snore too, but I think he wins the trophy on the snoring decibel. Okay, so that was a decent campground, no big deal there and that, and then we woke up the next morning.
There's a well.
The next morning,
that's where the pump well.
Pump well. So we got up in the morning, and we went over there and we did 8 liters. We filtered 8 liters of water.
Yeah.
And that water smelled like
it was well water.
Sulfur well water,
it was
like
pure iron water.
Ran it through those Sawyer squeeze filters, and it was
no
like
smell or
the
taste.
best water you ever had. Those things are awesome.
It was amazing.
Those things are awesome. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about, we'll get into that later is my sleeping pad. I got this.
Oh yeah, I got that.
We'll do that in a later video.
Well, yeah, okay. So we both got the same
Ricky Ticky,
and it takes about. You got to blow it up.
It says 10 breaths or something, but it really takes about 25.
Yeah, 30.
Whatever, it's fine. And that thing, once I got it, I had it pumped up too much, and then I got it down a little bit. Perfect, man. It was for me. It worked great. It
worked great for me too.
And then now I'm a cold sleeper, so it got down to 54 degrees that second night, and I have a 20-degree sleeping bag. And I was just perfectly cozy. Most people would be like, "Oh, I'm so hot," but I was good.
So I have my old poncho liner. So a poncho liner is like a real thin quilt, I guess. It's all it is all like polyester.
What poncho did it line?
A military poncho.
Okay, so yeah.
So all I had was my poncho liner, and then I wear my long johns.
And don't forget about your
balaclava. So I started off in my shorts. And then I put my top on, and then I put pants on, and then I had to put my balaclava on as the night went through.
Yeah, you see him in the morning when I'm videoing him, and he sticks his head on. He looks like a ninja. It was hilarious. I thought it was pretty funny.
But I don't know. It works great. Works good for me. So.
Yeah. So the last day, like I said, we did 8 liters of water, filtered it, 4 liters apiece. And it was 15 miles. I thought it was 10 or 11. But
yeah, so at this time...
15 miles.
So our the neighbors there, he was like, oh, how far are you guys going? I go, I think we got about 13 to do today.
I'm like, no, it's
only
10.
It's only 10. So...
Yep, Mike was right again.
I was wrong. It was 15.
He was righter than I was.
I won according to Price is Right rules.
So, with a mile to go or so, I was out of water. He was out for a couple miles, so...
Okay, so... We're at this point, we still think it's 33 miles, right? So we come up to, I have about that much water left in the liter. And we come up to a mile marker that says 32, but it's all beat up pretty good. And I was like, oh, something's wrong, because according to the time, we shouldn't have been, I was timing our miles.
Yeah, it was a really quick mile, and we weren't moving really quick.
Yeah, so we're like, oh, crap. So we texted my wife, Jay texted my wife, said we'll be there in 20 minutes. So we
we figured we had a mile.
We had a mile to go, and I had that much water left.
I think there was 2 32s, weren't there?
Hang on. So I downed that last bit of water in me because I got a mile to go. All I got is 20 minutes to hike, right? So we start going. We picked up the pace. I think that pace was like a 17-minute mile or something like that.
Cut.
So I downed the last of my water. And so then we start humping it out.
At mile 32.
At mile 32.
At fake mile 32.
Yeah, so we figured we had 20 minutes left. So we started going. We started moving pretty good. Well, we came across the real mile 32 marker.
And that was a nice post.
It was a nice post, which was about 10, 15 minutes down the way. So we're like, okay.
So there's 2 32s.
Yeah, so there's 2 32s.
One wore out one and one brand new one.
So now we're like, okay, so now we got 20 minutes.
False.
Now we got 20 minutes. So we get going, Then we came across mile 33.
You can see it in the video.
Yeah, watch the video.
I explain what happened and why we thought this, and plus it was
And
we were starting to get delirious.
Yeah, so I didn't have any water for like the last.
And it was too long, and that's the other thing. I mean,
stop and get water if you need to get water.
11.7 miles the first day, 13 miles the second day, and 15 the third day was too much for us. By the time we got up, got rolling, got going, and got to the next camp, we'd set up and eat, and it was time to go to bed. We had no time to sit in our chairs that I, carried the whole time,
Right.
and no time to unwind. So
yeah, so we're not
last
going crazy.
mile marker on that.
I'm not hiking crazy. So.
The last mile marker on that trail for anyone doing it is 35. You can see the trailhead from 35.
Yeah.
And that's the last of my notes for that anyhow. But
so if you're like doing step counts with your steps, so people were watching because we're in a step competition with our friends at work. So Jay has a watch and he has his phone. I only have mine on my phone, right? So I put my phone in my backpack. So people were like watching Jay's steps. Jay had like a couple 40,000.
the last day was 40,000, but I had 35, 38, and 40,000.
Yeah, and I had 2,000. If you're doing step count, do not put your phone in your backpack.
Yes, or wear a watch.
Or wear a watch.
A lot of people have watches, or put it in your pocket.
It won't count. And the major thing that I liked probably the most that I never really used ever were the walking sticks on a real hike.
Trekking poles.
Trekking poles.
I could not have done it without the trekking poles. There's no way.
The trekking poles save you from just twisting an ankle.
Help me uphill. Help me
going
downhill.
uphill and going downhill.
Helps the knees downhill more than anything for me.
It really makes a difference.
Huge. And we don't have super expensive ones. None of our stuff.
No, like almost the only thing I paid for was like my stove and my backpack. Everything else, I just go around my house and pick stuff up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. I use Ziploc bags and push everything down, put it in there.
For sure.
So you don't have to spend a ton of money on stuff to go do stuff. Even my food,
And the food thing, you can get creative with your food.
Yeah,
I've been just doing I'm trying to go through all the freeze dried stuff, just the Mountain House freeze dried,
right.
and test it all out. But I can't get off that breakfast skillet. I'm going to try not to do it next time. I'm going to try some other things. So
right. So
because the breakfast skillet is so good.
I got an idea for our next one.
Yeah.
I got some ideas for my food thing. So
our next one is going to be the Manistee River North Country Trail 20-mile loop. We're doing that in a couple weeks. So our friend Ian's going to come with us. So it's his first overnight backpacking, and we're going to do a training one with him upcoming.
Yeah.
Training hike
so
with him.
You'll see guest appearance of Ian Long.
So we'll do a training one of him, and I'll try some more food and some freeze dried food on it and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you watch the fishing video back when we do the charter, you'll see Ian. Ian was in that one.
The Lake Erie Walleye one. Ian was in that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Ian's one of the guys we grew up with our whole life. So.
Yeah. So it should be good, and we'll do a wrap of that one. And then after that one, I think I'm going to kind of go through all the gear I used and, tell you what I think of my gear. And that's about it for this one, eh?
All right, bro. That's
you
it.
think?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, bro.
Cool. Peace out.